It can be very frustrating to have a leaky sink. Even if you have all of these connections as tight as you can get them, sometimes you'll still have water trickling down. One of the most common locations to have a leak is right here where the threads are, and that tells you that there's something up above that's not watertight. So today we're going to disassemble this and look at all the potential causes and how to fix them. I'm holding a piece of the pop-up drain assembly. This is what's just underneath this part that you see in your sink. And you'll notice there's an interesting feature, which is these holes right here. These holes are the overflow drainage. A lot of sinks have a hole right here in the sink, or maybe back here, and that's in case your sink overflows. The water will drain into a cavity underneath the sink bowl, and then it'll drain into this, which will then go down the drain. But that leaves us with a tricky problem, which is that this rubber gasket is the only thing that's stopping water from overflowing and leaking out of your sink. If your sink has an overflow port, then you need to make sure these holes stay open, and you also need to seal up these threads as much as possible. The problem isn't so much that water is flowing over the gasket as much as it is that water is flowing behind the gasket along these threads. One simple solution is to use a thread sealant. Make sure you're using one that's compatible with water and plastic, of whatever type of plastic you're using, and then just wrap it up here right where that gasket and the threads of your nut are going to be, and then go ahead and tighten it up. Another solution is just to use a silicone caulk or a plumber's putty. Those are going to be applied similarly. I would apply them right up here just above your gasket to sort of fill that area and make sure they're really pressed into the threads. In our situation, we actually don't have an overflow port on the sink, so there's never going to be any water draining into these holes. The only water is going to be coming down the main drain and then possibly leaking out of the holes. So what I'm going to use is a flexible plumbing tape, and I'm just going to block up those holes the best I can, and then we'll tighten these threads back up. This flexible plumbing tape is just the tool we need for the job today. It's kind of like the duct tape of the plumbing world, where it's flexible, it adheres to itself, and it's made out of silicone, so it's very good in wet situations. I'm applying a little bit of the thread sealant to the top of my drain assembly. This is going to connect to the flange that rests on top of the sink basin. Be careful not to get this on your hands or fingers because it's very difficult to wash off. As you're reassembling the drain assembly, make sure that everything is as tight as you can get it, but don't over tighten because these are just plastic parts and you don't want to either crack the plastic or break one of your seals. That top flange is also very important to get watertight. You can do that with either a silicone-based caulk or you can use a plumber's putty. After you apply it and spread it evenly, make sure everything is nice and tight, and then wipe it away as clean as you can because that's going to be the visible part of your sink and you don't want any extra residue. Most sinks will also have a drain stopper. Make sure that the insert for that is also completely watertight and that you have it positioned into place so you don't have to open things up later. After you've finished installation, check that tube of caulk to see what the cure time is, and after you've waited enough time, turn on the water faucet and let the water run. If you don't see any leaks, then you're good to go. Thanks guys for watching this video. If you have any good suggestions, please leave those down in the comment section below, and we would appreciate a like and subscribe. Thanks.